Hello there, Aquarius. Thank you so much for stopping by for your tarot forecast. This is probably going to end up being a deep dive. Originally, my idea was to make this 5 topics that were coming up over the next 28 to 30 days. However, Spirit seems to have had other ideas, and so many times these 5 topics end up being very much related and intertangled. So it turns into more of a deep dive around some aspect of your life during this next time frame of 28 to 30 days. So let's see what we have showing up for the topics, and then we're going to look at expanding those. Look at the topics with the Fairy Lenormand. We'll pull one card from there for those. We will expand with the Hush Tarot, and then after we've expanded to find out more about the topics as they come up, then we are going to look for best advice or heads up around whatever that expansion turns out to be with the Light Seers Tarot. So that's the plan. All right, so first topic for you, Aquarius, we have the coffin showing up. Don't anybody make a mess in your shorts here. This is just talking about something that is not well. This can be finances that are not well. This can be a physical body that is not well. This is not actually a death card. Usually it would have to be listed with other cards as well to make it actually a card that talks about somebody passing. So I don't want you to stress on that because it is very rarely an actual death card. A lot of times it is just something that, is not at full power that could use some help. Okay. So second topic, we have the cross. Okay. So the cross talks about a decision, or it talks about a heavy burden. And we'll see when we clarify that which way this is going. Is this a decision, or is this something that is a heavy burden that Spirit wants to talk to you guys about? Next topic is going to be the whip or the broom, which talks about conversations. Sometimes it can talk about arguments. It talks about doing things in a repetitive way. So we will see when we expand what that is about as well. And then our fourth topic is going to be the lilies. Okay, so the lilies talk about peacefulness. They talk about harmony. They talk about time. They can be a timing card. They can talk about a lot of time. So we'll see. We'll expand that and we'll see. And then last topic that we're doing on this video, the stars. Oh, I like that. Now the stars talk about clarity, or they could talk about your reputation and what your reputation is like. Are you a star? So we're going to take a peek at all of these. Let's just jump right in. We're going to look at these one topic at a time. So I'm going to set these off to the side and throw this one right up front and center. So we're going to expand on this coffin. What is this coffin talking about for Aquarius, please? Let us know. What is Aquarius dealing with that you're indicating with this coffin card? More information, please. Okay, so we have the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Cups in reverse. Oof. And the Four of Pentacles. Okay, so with the Ace of Swords, this talks about a good idea. For me, the Ace of Swords always talks about a good idea. Something just kind of pops in. We have this epiphany of an idea, didn't even expect it, and it just kind of showed up. Sometimes we hear a little kid say something and we're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? So basic, so crazy that I did not. I'm making life way too complicated. Sometimes it's a good idea that comes in through meditation. Sometimes it's just in a book. Sometimes, it just comes in as a download, basically. Now, the good idea that we have here is coming in about this Ace of Cups. So I think this good idea is actually some clarity that we're getting about an Ace of Cups in reverse. Ace of Cups in reverse is somebody showing you their true colors, or something showing you their true colors. If you are pulling cards about buying a car and the Ace of Cups comes up in reverse, that says to you that there's something going on with this car that you don't know yet. It's going to show you its true colors. So this can be about a car. This can be about a vehicle. I think this good idea that we have here is actually some kind of clarity, some kind of understanding about the real nature of some kind of situation that we have going on here. And the Four of Pentacles says that there's something going on where somebody is holding back resources, or sometimes the Four of Pentacles were holding back feelings as well. So you could have a sudden understanding that somebody is holding back on you, either emotionally or financially. And that's where we're seeing this, where things are not at 100% here. There's something going on, and you're starting to understand that things aren't at 100% because somebody is holding back, okay? This would be a miser card. A lot of people consider that a miser card. I don't necessarily consider it a miser card as much as I consider it someone is trying to stash something away, or in this case, maybe they're trying to keep some resources out of sight. I don't think they're managing to pull that off because we have the true colors coming out. You're seeing that. So what is your best advice around this situation, Aquarius? What is Aquarius's best advice or insight whenever they have the clarity about this other party holding back on something? What would be your advice or insight for them? Now, this is really interesting because your best advice is once you get this insight, we have the Eight of Cups coming up in reverse. This talks about walking back to that situation. So there's a lot implied there. All right? There are some things happening between this row and this row. First of all, the first thing that's implied is that once you realize that somebody's holding back, we see you walking away. You're walking away from the situation because you feel like, well, this is kind of a no good situation. It's not healthy. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. That's what we see there. Okay. Now, the Eight of Cups in reverse has you walking back to this situation. Ace of Pentacles in reverse, you're giving this other party a second chance, whether this is an employment, an employer or employee, whether this is somebody you're in a personal relationship with, but we see you walking back, offering them a second chance because you have an idea of how you can make this work out. Excuse me. I apologize. I had to, sorry, I apologize. I had to disappear because I got a frog in my throat and I had to get some water to take care of that. But basically, what I was saying is you're walking back to the situation after separating from it when finding out that somebody was holding back with a second chance for that person and with an inspired idea about how you can make things actually work better this time around. So that's what we have for our first topic. Excuse me. Let's pick up these cards. And let's move on to topic number 2. We'll see if it ends up tying in or if it ends up being something different. I'm still open to the idea it could be something different. The thing is, everything about our lives kind of all ties together anyway. All right, so let's take a peek. We have the cross, and like I said earlier, this could be decisions, or this could be something that's kind of a burden that's kind of difficult. So let's see, what is our clarification of the cross for my Aquarians today? Okay, so when we're looking at the clarification here, we have the Nine of Pentacles, we have the Four of Wands, along with the Three of Wands. I don't know if this is so much of a burden as much as this is a decision. I would say it's probably a decision, and it has to do with this idea of planning something planning some kind of celebration or get together for someone, or this could be even planning for a trip. Somebody could be coming to you and coming into your nest or into your home, so to speak, or you could be going to somebody else's. But there is some kind of get together that's planned, whether this is at your place or whether you're planning on traveling to somebody else. With the Three of Wands, this does talk about that this is something that is more of a long-term thing. So this isn't something that is happening right now. I think you're making a decision. You may be traveling by yourself to like a family reunion or to go see a friend, some kind of get together. And I think that this decision that you're making isn't for the immediate future. It's not like this is just a weekend trip that's coming up. This is going to be something that is coming up that would be more long lasting. Okay. And then let's look at best advice or heads up around this. So you gave somebody a second chance. Now we're looking at you're doing something that is more independent. So this maybe doesn't exactly feed into each other as much as we've got actually two different topics that are showing up within our 28-day period for you. All right, now let's look here. Best advice or heads up around this trip. Yep. Okay. So Queen of Swords, I think you're really putting some planning into this trip. My queen is my take care of business person, so she's making sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed for this. The Six of Cups talks about that you may be going back to like your childhood home. This would be children. This card talks about home. This may be a trip where you're going back to your childhood home. Or it could be we've got children at home. Could be your children are coming to see you at your home. Could be, but I don't think so. I think this is you traveling. And the reason I think it's you traveling is because we've got a King of Swords here showing up in reverse. We have you over here being very independent. I think you've got somebody that you are offering the opportunity to make this trip with you, and they are not able or not willing, whatever. This is not something that is on their radar to do, to make this trip with you. So I think what's going on is you're planning this trip by yourself to go back to a childhood home, and somebody else is staying here. Maybe this is the person that we saw earlier, actually, that was holding out or holding back on something. Maybe they just wanted to stay. They didn't want to make the trip with you. So we see you going ahead with that trip without them, at least going ahead with the plans for that trip without them. So does it tie in? Yes. Yes, it does. All right. Every time I think it's not going to, it manages to. So those are our first two topics for this reading. Next, we're looking at the third one. All right, so we've got the whip. This is conversations. This can be arguments. This can be debate. This is going back and forth. There are other things that this could be combined with other cards too. So let's just see exactly how this expands out. Okay, so we've got our King of Wands showing up now. We had King of Swords earlier on the second deck of tarot cards on that last topic. We have a Seven of Swords in reverse, and we have a Seven of Cups. So this is really interesting. There's definitely some conversation going on here. It looks to me like you may be saying to this person who does not want to go with you, well, what if I went with this other person, this King of Wands person instead? And the Seven of Swords in reverse is basically, oh no, it's the same person. It's still our King of Swords that was reversed last time. I think this debate is you're suggesting, wouldn't you have fun? Wouldn't this be nice? This would be social, and it would be something that would be a positive thing for you. I think you're bringing the idea back up. Look, I already made the plans without buying the tickets for you, but you could still come. You're bringing up this idea. And with the Seven of Cups, there are options, there are ways to handle this where you can still come. So I think you're bringing up this is a discussion, an argument, or a debate. This is something that apparently your heart is set on having this other person come with you. I think this other person is, they're not as open and receptive to it as you would like them to be, obviously, with that King of Swords in reverse says, I don't even want to talk about it. Here we have you're bringing this back up. You're saying there's lots of ways that we can work this. Can we work this in a way that you would be able to live with after all? Let's look at all the options. Let's look at best advice or heads up around this situation where you're bringing this back up. Because this was obviously a hard decision for you to make to go without this person. Okay, so best advice or heads up, we have the Star, we have the Six of Wands, and we have the Seven of Swords. So it seems to me like the person that you are hoping to get to go along with you is very polite. They're very polite. The Star talks about some kind of healing, so it's been good to actually talk about what's going on here. I think this person is really appreciating that you are trying to involve them with the Six of Wands. There's no doubt about that. But then we see the Seven of Swords. Even though they really appreciate it and you guys are able to bring some kind of healing into the situation with this communication, this person is still saying, I would rather not do this. They are trying to say that they would rather not do this in a way that doesn't burn any bridges, that isn't dramatic. They are being polite to you. They're saying, you're a fantastic person. Thank you for thinking of me. I'm very flattered. I find that hopeful, whatever they're saying. But in the end, they're still saying, this is not something that I'm willing to do. They're just saying it in a very kind way. Okay? All right, now let's look at our next topic. Oh, we've got the lilies. This could be about keeping the peace because this looks like this could be a situation that is kind of getting elevated, at least for you. You may be feeling really triggered by now, and this person is just trying to kindly say, please leave me out of this trip. But for whatever reason is going on, it does look like that's really hard for you to actually do. And there may be some triggering going on there. Let's look and see what the lilies have to say. Because lilies can say keeping the peace, peaceful times. Peace is important. They can also talk about a time frame. And they can talk about sensuality. So let's see. Okay, this does have to do with keeping the peace like I was feeling earlier. Look at this. We've got the Four of Wands in reverse. Four of Wands in reverse is away from home, away from the nest. Remember earlier we saw you going into some kind of nest, visiting probably a childhood home. All right, we've got the Two of Pentacles in reverse. This is saying that I'm dropping something. I've been juggling these two ideas, trying to figure out which way to go. Now I'm dropping something. And the Three of Pentacles says that, you're kind of annoyed. You've got somebody who's getting on your nerves. So it looks to me like this is really the idea that you're coming to the point of where you're not very happy about this other person's decision not to come with you for this trip. However, you are just trying to keep the peace. Totally annoying you, but you're dropping it. You're dropping the topic. And this talks about, this idea that they're not going to be coming into the nest with you. They're not going to do that because this is in reverse. This is I'm staying away from there. I think you're dropping the idea, even though it's really annoying. It's really annoying to you. All right, now let's look at best advice or heads up around this. What do you need to know about the idea of dropping this idea to keep the peace? Oh, yeah. You are fully walking away from this idea. I think you feel like you've said everything you can say. You've pushed it as far as you can push it. And so you are walking fully away from this idea. You're tired of trying to convince this person to go on this trip, even though you feel like they would benefit a lot from doing that. Or you would benefit a lot if they did that. Somebody would. But you're too tired to keep pushing with this. The Ace of Pentacles really talks about this idea that allows you to receive some kind of gift. I don't know, is this person giving you a gift to take with you on this trip? Could be. You're definitely receiving some kind of gift here. And with the Ace of Wands showing up in reverse, this is that, you're just not feeling very energetic. All right. So when we have that you're not feeling very energetic, I think it's towards this person who's kind of getting on your nerves. Now you're kind of, you're losing any fire that you had towards that person. If you felt passionate about them, if you felt enthusiastic about them, you're kind of losing that because they're getting on your nerves with this idea that they don't want to go on this trip with you. It really has you turning around your perspective about them. Okay, so walking away from the idea of them coming along, it's actually a gift to you mentally and emotionally, not to keep staying invested and trying to convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do. At the same time, it's also changing your mindset around this other person. You're definitely not as gung-ho about them as you were before. But you're keeping the peace. Keeping the peace. All right, let's look at our last topic. So, how did I get coffee on my table? I've got coffee on the back of my card. That's bad. I do not like that. I do not like green eggs and ham. Said Sam I am. I don't know if that was a Sam I am thing. But we got to get rid of this coffee on my table. I don't even know how that got there. Not cool. Or on my desk, I should say. Anyway, okay, let's get back to the reading. So we have the stars here, which talks about clarity. We like clarity, especially after everything that we saw before. Clarity would be a good thing. It can also talk about your reputation too. How well you're known. Are you a star? Are you not a star? Either way. So let's clarify this and let's see what is going on with this. What do my Aquarians need to know about the stars? And this is different than the tarot. In the tarot, if we had a star card, that would be your card associated with you, Aquarius. This is not the same because the Lenormand deck is just, while there are things that are similar, they just don't mean the same things in the Lenormand as they do in the tarot. So let's see what we have. King of Wands showing up again. In reverse this time. Seven of Swords. And the Seven of Cups. Okay, so this is interesting because we've seen these cards already. My King of Wands, though, he was right side up last time when you were trying to really convince him that second time to go on the trip, him or her. But my King of Wands in reverse basically says, I think what you're doing here, this is more about you than the other person now. The King of Wands in reverse says, you know what, I'm feeling kind of blue about this whole situation. I've got the clarity about it. I know I can't change anything, but I'm feeling blue about this whole situation. And I am just trying to leave it alone and not cause any drama, not burn any bridges, and just kind of try to leave it alone. And with the Seven of Cups in reverse, this says, you know what, I'm just going to focus on what makes me happy instead of trying to focus on dragging this other soul along with what makes me happy. I'm going to try to focus on what makes me happy. So you're getting some real clarity here about the healthiest way for you to handle this situation, even though it does still have you feeling kind of blue. I feel like this is more reality setting in than anything else. It doesn't really feel triggered to me. It feels like you have a healthy outlook on this situation now, and that is just how you feel about it. But it doesn't feel intense like a trigger feels to me normally. So I'm happy to see we're kind of coming into a calmer place here around this. Let's look at best advice or heads up. Yeah. Now, this is really interesting. So the best advice or heads up with the Four of Cups in reverse. Let's move that into the camera a little better. I'm sorry. So Four of Cups in reverse, basically, we're saying, look at the bright side. Find the silver lining, because there is a silver lining here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this card. But there's a silver lining. So look for the silver lining. The Two of Swords basically says, it's not necessary for you to make any decisions this red hot minute. You can wait to make decisions until the time actually comes. And remember, you're pursuing what makes you happy now. So you don't have to make a full itinerary for this trip. You can wait and see where your nose leads you once you get to wherever you're going on this trip. So you want to leave some open time that you can fill in with things that might pop up. Because the Nine of Wands talks about things popping up that could be surprising. That could surprise you. You would not expect these things to pop up. I want to see what's popping up here. Actually, specifically, I want to see, does this person change their mind at the last minute about going on this trip? And if not, then what is popping up here? Yeah, this person is not actually changing their mind about going on this trip. So, but there is something that's popping up here that is surprising to you. And it is while you're on the trip. Look at that. If that's not a traveling card, I don't know what is. And the Seven of Wands is kind of remaining open. It goes back to this idea of not making any real big decisions about what your itinerary has to look like. We've got the Three of Wands. Well, this is definitely travel, and it may be travel to some place where people could surf, to a beach where there's water. Does not have to be, but you want to be really open about this travel. You may end up deciding that you want to go to some places you hadn't thought about while you're on this trip. The High Priestess really kind of echoes the idea of being open to whatever comes up. Follow your intuition, where you're going to go. And the Four of Pentacles in reverse basically says, take a fat wallet. You may be pouring out money or energy and effort to wherever your intuition leads you on this trip. But I think there's going to be something that comes up on this trip that you're not expecting. And so you want to leave room in your schedule to be able to pursue that, because I think whatever this is, you're going to really enjoy it. In fact, I don't think that. I'm sure of that with the way those cards came out. Okay, so let go of the idea of this other person coming with you. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, and that's okay. But focus on your happiness and leave some open space on your trip so that some things can happen that are based around your intuitive nudges, because that's where you're going to find the treasure on this trip, actually. Okay. All right, so that's what I have for you, Aquarius. Thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody have a fantastic month, and I will see you back on the next video if I don't see you for our reading or our Reiki session or our mentoring session before then. Peace out.